All righty. I hope everyone has one of these little handouts. I like to always have, if possible, give you something to take home outside of remembering whatever I might say. You know, no one does repentance like Jews. We are really into repentance. The beginning of the month of Elul, we have the sounding of the shofar. We start reading Psalm 27, David Anayori V'ishi Mimi Ira, because the Lord is my light on Rosh Hashanah, my salvation on Yom Kippur, and He keeps me in His sukkah. And so it's said from the beginning of the month of Elul all the way through Sukkot, for that particular reason. But beginning next Saturday night, we have the Selichot according to the Ashkenazic minhag version. The Sephardim actually, Eidot and Mizrach, actually start from the beginning of the month of Elul with these penitential prayers. And I think that I am pretty safe ground that many people in our congregation don't realize that even though on the Saturday night preceding Rosh Hashanah, we have the Selichot service, which originally used to be at midnight, but now, given the fact that most of our people go to sleep before midnight, we have it, I think at 9 o'clock or something like that. So, and what most people don't realize is that those Selichot, even though the first Selichot is supposedly said at midnight or thereafter that first night, it's actually in the Ashkenazic tradition said every single morning before the regular prayers up until before Yom Kippur. And the Selichot are arranged in such a way that each day there's a regular set of Selichot which actually go all the way back to the Gaonim, like Rav Amram Gaon, who lived around 875, or Sadia Gaon, who lived about 882, 942. So as early as that was the earliest part of the Selichot service, but then there are all sorts of liturgical poems that are included across these many days, and each of these days has a special hymn that's called a pizmon, and it's rhymed and it has a refrain. So on Saturday night, next Saturday night, we'll do the pizmon b'motzei menucha, at the going out of the day of rest. And there's the refrain, Lishmo el arina ve'el tefillah, to hear the prayer and the cry. Now, each and every other day has a special pizmon. And so I thought I would take the occasion, you know, I always like to leave you with something that nobody else might tell you. So you are always given a little tidbit that whenever it gets a dull in a cocktail party, you can mention it. The pizmon for Erev Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, I remember when I used to go to every single morning for the Selichot services, get up early, and then you have the Selichot service before that. On Erev Rosh Hashanah, you used to get up at around 5:30 because the Selichot is a tremendous amount in that particular service, and the pizmon for that particular day, which is Erev Rosh Hashanah, which is about the most important day, is this particular one that I have given into your hands, which is known as the Zechor Brit Abraham V'Akedat Yitzchak. Remember the covenant of Abraham and the binding of Isaac. And it has a refrain, V'Hosheinu L'man Shemecha, and there's a refrain that goes throughout it, and save us for the sake of your name. Now, this pizmon is, well, famous for the people who know about it, is actually, we know the author. And I thought that I should inform you about him as well. He is Gershom Bar Yehuda, who is known as the Meor HaGolah. He was born in 960 in Metz and settled in Mainz, which was then called Magenza, which was one of the capitals of Charlemagne. Now, Gershom Bar Yehuda is a very interesting fellow because he is known as Meor HaGolah, the light of the exile. He is the start of all of the famous Ashkenazic traditions in Europe. So if you think in terms of Ashkenazic Jewry, which goes from France to Germany to Poland to Russia to all of what is known as Ashkenaz, all depends upon him. And he is famous for many other things, but he had takanot, which was special decrees. So the decree that you can only have one wife comes from him. That was never found among the Sephardim. As a matter of fact, when Israel was founded, Jews from Yemen came with more than one wife because it was never accepted by the Sephardim for whatever reason. So, ladies, if you're from Ashkenaz, you're lucky. You have that's, and he also actually made a decree that you couldn't divorce a wife against her will, which is a very interesting decision, because what happens when a wife is no longer compos mentis and a man wants to give her a divorce because she's in a mental institution and he may want to marry another woman? Then he needs what is called a heter mea rabbanim, a permission of 100 rabbis, which are supposed to be from 3 different countries, which was in those days Germany, Ashkenaz, Lotha, which was Lorraine, and France. And you need the signature of like 100 rabbis on this. And actually, on several occasions at a rabbinical assembly convention, I actually signed my name to one of those heter mea rabbanim for someone to do so. Also, what is interesting about him is that he made a decree that you're not allowed to read, if you're given a letter and it's supposed to go to a certain person, you're not supposed to read it. And if it's signed with his seal, that was the first step, that was protection of privacy. Another interesting facet of his life is that his son converted to Christianity. You know, most of us, when we think in terms of the Jews of Ashkenaz, we think of the martyrs and the martyrdom that people gave their lives rather than converting. But the truth of the matter is, which has never been really discussed, is that many Jews did convert under pressure to Christianity at the time. Among them, his son. And he observed Shiva for the whole week after his son did that, which, by the way, used to be the custom among Jews. I don't know if any of you remember from maybe your grandparents' time that was once observed. But then when his son died, before he was able to come back into the fold, he observed Shiva for him again. And he made it more lenient for people to return even after a forced conversion. And so here is this, he was, by the way, he was the teacher of the teachers of Rashi. So the great commentary of Rashi, who over the entire Bible and Talmud, that he was a student of the teachers. His teachers were pupils of Rabbeinu Gershom Meor HaGolah. And this is a copy of the poem which will be chanted on the eve of Rosh Hashanah early in the morning. And it speaks of the life of the Jews in the area of what was once the empire of Charlemagne, which encompassed France, Alsace, Lorraine, and Germany. And this was written even before the almost terrible depredations of the First and Second Crusades. But it ends with the words, Drosh Damim, Dun de'anenu, hashev shviatenu el hech ma'anenu. Hinam nimkarnu v'lo bekesef b'deinu. Zakof beit mikdashecha hashemayim hashamein beit mikdashecha hashemein le'nenu. V'ashev shavut ohalei Yaakov v'oshenu l'man shemecha. O thou who avengest blood, judge our cause, requite sevenfold into their bosom those who afflict us. We have been sold for naught, or redeem us without ransom. Raise up thy ruined temple before our eyes, and restore the captivity of the tents of Jacob, and save us for the sake of thy name. All of this in rhyme, and this is will be chanted as part of the enormous amount of Selichot on Erev Rosh Hashanah. We continue now with the Musaf Kaddish, page 155.
Page 155, you rise.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי כל ויכון ובחיר כל בישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן, יהי שם רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא,